So you're playing Engine, you do a 10 pull, and you get honorary 5-star Layla. Now what do you get with Layla besides one of the best shield characters in the game? Well, Layla is a cryo-wielding sword user who was kind of the character that started it all with me making videos. And in this video, we are going to look at the basics of Layla. Now you might be saying, Kessie, Layla's not even on the banner, and you would be correct. But with Talkie Tiki going dark possibly on Sunday, I wanted to make my last guide over here on TikTok be the character that is kind of represented in my whole brand, right? Because in Layla we trust. All right, so about 10 takes later, I've gotten through the intro, okay? I might be congested now. Okay, it's okay. So Layla's normal attacks are gonna be normal first sword user, right? They're gonna be physical. She does do this really cute animation because like it's almost like the sword is too heavy, so she has to grab it with 2 hands while she swings it around. It's really cute. And then her charge attack is going to be like a flurry of attacks, a flurry with her sword, right? Like most sword users. Now her skill is going to be where she creates her shield. Now the shield is based off of HP, and while you have the shield, you can swap to other characters and it will stay there, but it's going to also form these little ice crystals, these little ice stars inside, and they're going to produce intermittently. Once there's 4, they're going to start firing off at enemies, dealing cryo damage. Now you can increase the rate at which these cryo stars are made by using the skills of your other team members. So if we use like Layla's skill to get the shield going, we go to Arlequina, we use her skill, Kazuha to use his skill, we have 4 stars, they all fire off. Then we can start going back through and use like Rosaria's skill, then use Kazuha's skill again, and we have another 4 stars, so then they're going to fire off again. So we can reliably increase the amount of cryo that Layla is putting out. Yes, her shield, whenever she uses her skill, it does do an instance of cryo, but you have to be like really close to the enemy for that instance of cryo to hit the enemy. Now also these little marks that are kind of floating around Layla, that's from her weapon, that's not from her kit, so keep that in mind. So using this method of creating her shield and then going through your team using the skills, you can create a lot of these ice stars for your party, so that way they're consistently and reliably firing off, doing a couple of things specifically with this build, but we will talk about that whenever we get to the artifacts and the weapons. Now her burst, she is going to create this, I'm just going to call it a dream sphere. I can never remember the word for this. It's like the thing that last time I made a Layla video, people in the comments told me, and I still can't remember. So why would I go look it up whenever I can do this video in true Kessie fashion, right? It's going to create this dream sphere thing that's going to, oh gosh, tell me in the comments. But it's going to create it, and it's going to fire off cryo damage towards enemies, but it's going to fire off some more stars, dealing cryo damage to enemies as well. So she does have a fair good amount of cryo application if you use her correctly. Now, for artifacts, I am running 4-piece tenacity on Layla, which is going to be her best set. This is going to increase her HP, which is what her shield scales off of, as well as with the skill hitting enemies is going to give an attack buff to your whole team, but that attack buff only lasts for 3 seconds. So you got to make sure that you're working in those other skills to have this buff up reliably. If you are not able to get a ton of HP or a good 4-piece tenacity set, then you can run like 2-piece tenacity, 2-piece VG to just stack as much HP on her as possible. For the main stats, you're just gonna do HP, 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 right? This is shield Layla, this is a DPS Layla, and then you're gonna want some ER in the substats just to have her burst up more often. For weapons, this Layla, my Layla, is running Ki in this video. That is what those little triangle, those golden triangles that were floating around her come from Ki. This weapon is gonna give her a ton of HP, as well as using some of that HP to give EM to your other team members, meaning that like Arlequino in this team is going to do more melt reactions, and you can invest heavily or more heavily into her attack and just get all of the EM that you need from Ki on Layla. Now, obviously, Ki is a 5-star weapon. It's nearly a signature weapon. If you don't have a copy of Ki, you do have a couple of other options. The only other HP main stat sword is going to be Dockhand's Assistant. So this can also be really good on getting a ton of HP over to Layla. If you don't have either of these 2 HP weapons, you can always go to something like Favonius or Sacrificial just to get more ER on her, so that way you're able to use her burst more often. Yes, your shield is going to be a little weaker, but until they give us more HP swords in the game, if you don't have them, you don't have them. And you do also have the fishing weapon from Fontaine that's going to give ER. It's going to also increase your crit rate on your skill, and then it's going to also give a little bit more ER once you've used your skill. So you can also use this weapon on her. Now also, they did have this event weapon sword from a little while ago that like if you have a shield, it's going to increase your damage and give crit rate too, which is really cool. And I'm going to use this on like a DPS Layla at some point, but I want to do like Layla Chongyun to get cryo infusion and cloud retainer plunge. and I just don't have Cloud Retainer. So I'm going to build that later on at some point. Now, I do want to show the full build of my Layla, kind of to see where she's at now after having started content over a year ago, about a year and a half ago on TikTok, and about a year ago on YouTube. She does have 50k HP, about 1200 attack. Like I said, this is a shield Layla, not a damage Layla, and then 133 EM. Now, with Dockhand's assistant, she has around 44k HP. Her split 25 over 57 with 122 energy recharge. For weapons, like you saw, she is running Key. She is using 4-piece tenacity. She is C4. I will get her to C6 at some point. And then her talents are 1, 12, 4. I will also be triple crowning her. So that is going to be it for this video, and possibly for the last time over on TikTok. Kooky has green hair. Layla has blue hair. I have blue hair. And I'll see you on the other side.